Good day everyone. Today I want to present about introduction, background of Switzerland. The official name of Switzerland is Swiss Confederation, or Latin name is Confederatio Helvetica. Switzerland considered as one of the oldest countries in Europe. The population in Switzerland is recorded about 8.66 million people in 2021. The capital city is Bern and the largest city is Zurich. The four official languages in Switzerland are German, French, Italian, and Romanish. During the both World War, Switzerland avoided being invaded during both World War. Even though the Germans had think about plans in invading Switzerland during World War II, and the Allies wrongly bombed some of the Swiss towns. The majority of people are Christian. The highest Swiss population is Roman Catholic, recorded with about 34.4%. Protestant recorded as 22.5%. Other Christian recorded as 5.7%. Muslim recorded as 5.5%. And lastly, other recorded as 1.6%. The Switzerland ranked as 6th best education system, which their education system is mainly decentralized. Both employers and employees should have a strong understanding of the business culture that related to French, German, and Italian region in order to succeed doing business in Switzerland. The attitude of Swiss people is traditional and formal approach versed in business culture. The Swiss people communication style are mostly polite and directly, as most of them are low-tax culture. Swiss people also consider time as precious for both business and social life. Therefore, their meetings and appointments are not be scheduled at the last minute. The decision-making are reserved for the top levels of management in what remains a mainly hierarchical business structure. Background of Nestlé. Nestlé is the well-known multinational manufacturer of food and beverage products. The headquarters of Nestlé located in Bavaria, Switzerland. It was founded by Henry Nestlé in 1867, which produced the product of baby. It was existing in about 191 countries in worldwide, such as China, Vietnam, Malaysia, India, and more, with having around 450 manufacturing factories. Nestlé also offers other products such as milk, chocolate, confectionery, butter, coffee, creamer, seasoning, and animal food in order to fulfill the needs and wants of customers in the worldwide. The vision of Nestlé is to be an outstanding, competitive nutrition, health, and wellness company that delivering enhanced shareholder benefit by being a preferred corporate citizen, preferred employer, preferred supplier, selling preferred product. The mission of Nestlé is good food, good life, is to provide customers with the best tasting, most nutritious selection in many types of food and beverage categories in a wide range and eating occasion from morning to night.
Switzerland's culture has been shaped largely by its landlocked geographic location. As its bordering countries were embroiled in war, Switzerland steadfastly remained neutral, and this neutrality continues to characterize the country today. The language and cuisine of the country have been heavily influenced by its neighbors, with many regions having a distinctly German, French, or Italian vibe. For example, the western parts of Switzerland have a very French feel, and most residents here speak French and enjoy French cuisine. Switzerland's geography encompasses the geographical features of Switzerland, a mountainous and landlocked country in Western and Central Europe. The natural landscape of Switzerland is defined by its numerous lakes and mountains. It is bound to the east by Austria and Liechtenstein, to the west by France, to the south by Italy, and to the north by Germany. Switzerland has a maximum north-south length of 220 km and an east-west length of approximately 350 km. Switzerland is well known for the Alps in the south and southeast. The diversity of Swiss culture is distinguished by the country's location at the crossroad of several outstanding European cultures. Switzerland is a multilingual country, with German, French, Italian, and Romansh as national language. Approximately 64% of the population speak German, 19% speak French, 8% speak Italian, and the remaining 1% speak Romansh. Switzerland has achieved success in close cultural communication. In Switzerland, the French-speaking population is the majority, while German-speaking population is the minority. Despite the language differences, the two societies have been successful in fostering cross-cultural communication through channels such as media, school, place of worship, as well as daily interactions. Switzerland is widely regarded as the champion of religious tolerance and the promoter of a modern secular society in which religious respect, freedom, peace, and righteousness are recognized as key values. Switzerland appears to understand the true meaning of religious freedom in a world where religious ideas are struggling to remain pure. There is and has always been a Swiss style of doing things, with its most significant achievement being the establishment of an ever-growing diversity of religious groups that serve as the foundation for the contemporary Swiss country. There are several important religious sites in Switzerland. The non-Christian religious sites best demonstrate Switzerland's religious tolerance and ever-growing diversity of religious communities such as the Geneva Mosque, the Armenian Apostolic Church, and Guangshan Temple. According to official estimates from 2015 to 2017, the primary religion of people over the age of 15 in Switzerland is Roman Catholicism, which accounts for 35.9% of the total population. Reformed evangelicals are second with 23.8%, followed by other Christian groups with 5.9% and Muslims with 5.4%. The most surprising is that the proportion of people who do not belong to a particular religious community has increased from 3.4% in 1990 to 26% in 2017. With so many people abandoning church, it's only natural that the number of people identifying as non-religious has increased. Religious freedom in Switzerland is governed by the Swiss Constitution at both the federal and cantonal levels. According to Article 15, everyone has the right to select their religion, join religious communities, participate in religious activities, and worship. Furthermore, religious discrimination is prohibited under Article 15, and no one can be forced to join or leave a religious community against their will. The Swiss government not only accepts but also supports one's religion. For example, prisons are responsible for ensuring that inmates are permitted to practice their faith and that prayers is available at all times. Switzerland has one of the most advanced educational systems in the world. The system is well established and functional, with administration and accountability delegated. In Switzerland, primary education is considered kindergarten and the first learning cycle. Basic manners and knowledge are taught to children in kindergarten. Kindergarten uses place-based learning to teach children social skills and basic manners. They are taught basic reading and math through music, games, art, and a variety of crafts. Around the age of 6, students graduate from kindergarten and enter primary school. Secondary education in Switzerland is separated into two stages. There are two levels of secondary education, which are lower secondary and upper secondary. Around the ages of 11 to 12, children begin their lower secondary school, which lasts 3 to 4 years. That is where children study their mother language, a Swiss second language, and English. Math, biology, chemistry, physics, and geography being some of the main subjects taught. Other subjects taught include history, civic education, music, art and design, physical education and health, home economics, career counseling, and vocational preparation. High school is optional in Switzerland. Students can choose what kind of career they want to follow after completing their lower secondary school. They have the option of enrolling in a vocational education and training (VET), baccalaureate, or upper secondary specialized school. Most students want to attend a vocational school. That is where students can study skills in school and witness how things are done firsthand in firms that offer apprenticeships and cross-company training. 1/3 Swiss students choose to attend a baccalaureate school. It is a continuation of lower secondary education with courses similar to those previously studied in lower secondary school, plus law and economics. Upper secondary specialized school prepares students for careers in healthcare, social work, and education. Students are graded using the same grading system as before and are required to study the core courses relating to their chosen professions. Tertiary education is a continuation of a student's higher secondary education. There are 8 public and 1 private university of applied science and university. These universities offer degrees in subjects such as engineering, technology, and business, and they educate students for careers in the Swiss and global labor markets. Switzerland had an estimated population of 8,544,500 people in 2018. Foreign nations account for 25.1% of the population in Switzerland, with 2,148,300 permanent residents. In 2018, the most common countries of origin were Italy, 14.9% or 319,300 people, Germany, 14.3% or 306,200 people, Portugal, 12.3% or 263,300 people, as well as France, 6.3% or 134,800 people. Around 3/4, 72% of foreigners from an EU, EFTA member state, and nearly half, 48% of all foreigner permanently resident in Switzerland were Italian, German, Portuguese, and French nationals. In 2018, 37.5% of the permanent residents aged 15 and above had a migration background. Just over a third of this population group had Swiss nationality, which is 974,000 people. 4/5 of those with a migration background are from the first generation, whereas 1/5 was born in Switzerland and so belongs to the second generation.
Switzerland is federal. It was a network of city-country agreements. Switzerland has 26 cantons. It grew like the rest of Western Europe but remained independent. Switzerland's history is intertwined with its neighbors because of its location. Switzerland was Christianized and ruled by many foreign powers during the early Middle Ages when it was still part of the Roman Empire. The old Swiss Confederacy, which exists before modern Switzerland, did not form until the late Middle Ages. The Protestant Reformation caused division in Western Christianity that led to wars in several European countries, including Switzerland. Along with these changes, the Swiss created impartially. Since the 1950s, Switzerland's life quality has improved, with a higher average of level education, more mass media, and less time spent working. More people are participating in cultural activities. People move to cities and traditional institutes like the family decline. Artists responded to social and economic changes in many ways, leading to a bigger goals and a better definition of culture. Culture was a focus of policy as UNESCO definition was broadened. Growing differences between urban and rural areas threatened the country's unity. 1980s Federal Cultural Initiative in Switzerland started a new cultural policies conversation. The plan allocates 1% of government spending to arts and culture. Swiss voters narrowly rejected the cultural percentage initiative, and the Federal Council's moderate counter proposal in 1986. The Federal Council wanted to show how culture helped people build identity inside and outside Switzerland. 1991 Confederation did this. This shows how important culture to a person's identity. In 1991, Switzerland's 4 language groups and many cultural groups were brought together through culture. As in 1994, this measure barely passed. In the 1980s, canton and city governments support the arts more. Patient led to actions and the realization that local cultural policy needed to be broader. End of the 1980s, first cultural policy review conference of cantonal directors of culture is an example, CCDC. Many government agency budget were cut in 1990s. different levels of government need to be clear about their cultural responsibilities in areas like supporting national institutions, ensuring all religions speak the same language, and foreign policies. Switzerland failed to join the EEA in 1992. Changes result. This referendum tested political unity. Most French speakers wanted to join, but few Germans did. In 1992, Switzerland failed to join the EEA, which affected these trends. Because of this, the Languages Act passed 2007. Academic debates about culture and cultural policies and public discussion about the constitutional framework for cultural skills have gained popularity recently. Since the Swiss Federal Constitution did not mention cultural development until 1999, the canton has been responsible. The new constitution reaffirms the Confederation's duties in film, national heritage, language, intercultural understanding, and international affairs. In the constitutional phase, the government can now help fund and support important cultural projects, especially in filmmaking and education. Thanks to the constitutional change, new law may allow the government to help artists. Based on the updated constitutions, the Swiss Parliament passed the Federal Act on the Promotion of Culture in 2009. This act makes the constitution stronger and court-usable. First time, the Confederation's most important players have set strategic goals for 2012 until 2015. Culture is an important part of many policy discussions, from national cohesion, which include language and minority policies, to whether cultural section should be included in a future-looking policy. Switzerland's location between several European civilizations may explain its rich culture. Swiss, French, Italian, and Romance are official languages. Every place has its own dialect. Canada cantons have different culture because of each canton and multiplicity has cultural autonomy, and countries' culture, custom, and tradition can vary. Even in small Switzerland, there's a divide between mountain and flatlands residents. This compares living in a mountain valley to a city. Because tourists, a few local habits are now nationwide. This cultural richness may be attributed to Switzerland's geographical location as a road cross of several important European civilizations. As a result, Switzerland is a multilingual nation that recognizes the official language of German, French, Italian, and Romanish. Every location has its own set of dialect, and its inhabitants use as well. The music is quite inspired with the loud clothes. Swiss cuisine and culture are important to the country's identity. Tourists can try national and local trades in every canton. Switzerland's historical practices aren't there for tourists, but to keep the culture alive.
National cultural identities. Various cultural identity, including nationality, ethnicity, race, gender, and also religion, all factor into one sense of cultural identity. A culture's identity is built and perpetuated by the sharing of communal knowledge, such as traditions and practices, as well as the use of language and the visual and performing arts. For a long time, historians assumed that cultural identification was evident and constant, but today, most researchers see it as a contextual and dependent on both temporal and spatial change. Cultural identity is constantly enacted, negotiated, preserved, and questioned in a globalized world. With a growing international context, the national cultural identities for Switzerland are as shown. Food. A blend of German, French, and Italian cuisines can be found in Swiss food. Nevertheless, regional diversity and difference make it difficult to draw an exact line separating one region from another. Many dishes, however, have become popular not only in Switzerland but all across the world. The first one is cheese fondue. The bread chunks dipped with melted cheese. Traditional ceramic fondue pots known as cacolons are used to serve the bread cubes, which are picked by the fork and swiveled in the cheese. The second one is rosti. Grated, cooked, jacket or raw potatoes are fried in the hot butter or fat to make a flat hot cake. The third one is basler flour soup. Each year's Moguer starch, which kicks off the famed Basil Carnival, is the most beautiful part because of the first bowl of flour soup served at 3 in the morning. An authentic Pepe will only eat this hearty soup, which is comprised of braised flour and broth with roasted onions and butter. The next one is etiquette. Some cultural differences among the various languages include a preference for a kiss over a handshake in the German-speaking region. Titles and professional functions are more frequently used in German-speaking countries. Because Switzerland includes German-speaking people, thus this etiquette is a must. For religion, same as most other countries, Switzerland also has religion beliefs, spiritual practitioners, also the death and the afterlife. For music, the cantons of Switzerland are home to a thriving, passionate music culture. Alpine folk music flourished in the form of unwritten techniques and compositions. Folk music from Switzerland is typically vibrant dance music. Accordion, violin, bass violin, clarinet, tilkima, and bass violin are the most popular musical instruments. Elfon, which was once employed as a signaling instrument among herders, should not be overlooked in this context. Every community often has at least a choir or a traditional music group. For folk arts, regional and local customs mark the passage of time with several rituals. Yodeling, despite its reputation as a Swiss national pastime, is confined to a few mountain regions. For the accordion, it's also been referred to as the Schweizerorgel rather than the German Handgel, signifying that it's a Swiss musical instrument. Architecture. The Swiss has a long and distinguished architectural history. The cathedrals of Basel, Sion, Chur, Geneva, Zurich, and Schaffhausen all have 12th century Romanesque architecture. The churches of Einsdale and St. Gallen are Baroque, whereas the cathedrals of Lausanne and Bern are Gothic. Many great architects came to Italy during the Renaissance to share their skills. Switzerland is home to some of the best examples of modern architecture in the world. One of the most inventive examples of modern architecture, one of the most influential modern architects is Mario Botta. For languages, there are 3 official languages in Switzerland, which are German, French, and also Italian, with an emphasis of preserving the same position of French, German, and Italian as national official languages. All legislation will be drafted in these languages and regarded equally in each. For traditional clothes, traditional attire in Switzerland, like so many other facets of the country's culture, is diverse and also adaptable. Traditional Swiss attire is influenced by the cantons. In each canton, there is a distinct dress code. It is customary for a Swiss man to wear a smoking shirt, long-sleeved jacket or vest, and a headpiece, dark woolen stockings or stockings, and shoes in the country. Colorful smock dresses with puffed sleeves and tight ribbon crest tops, aprons, lace bonnets, stockings, shoes, and also embroidered handbags are all part of the Swiss women's attire. When it comes to the folk festivals and national holidays, traditional dress is still worn in large numbers, even though it isn't as common as it once was. They draw a lot of attention from travelers. Wool and cotton were the primary materials used in the wintertime clothing of the average Swiss citizen. Marital status, social class, and other characteristics were also taken into consideration when designing the costumes.
Good morning, Doctor. I am Ying. Today, I would like to analyze about the national culture of Nestle in Switzerland. National culture refers to the beliefs, attitudes, values shared, languages, religion, culture, and norms. The national culture of Switzerland is strongly influenced by the approaching countries, which are French, Italian, and German. The official languages of Switzerland are French, Italian, German, and Romance. Switzerland is known as a low-ranking country in Power Distance Index. Switzerland is advised to increase inequalities among people, especially in a company. The citizens in Switzerland prefer being independent, and the positions in a company is only set for the purpose of giving convenience to company. Nestle company in Switzerland have strong inequalities sense while working. Nestle does separate the managers and their subordinates by having power delegation. But the power delegation in Nestle has only a small gap. In Switzerland, they are more to individualism. This is because they do not like to be controlled by any parties in company or outside the company. Nestle has a good balance between individualism and collectivism. Nestle conducts challenging tasks and programs consistently to motivate their workers. They will reward their workers by giving bonus or non-cash reward such as free travels. This action is to motivate their workers to work harder. Nestle accepts its workers to have their own creativities while working. They encourage their workers to speak out their own opinions and views. In Switzerland, there are two types of people, which are Switzerland who speak French and who speak German. The French speakers prefer to have uncertainty avoidance index in a company or in life. The German speakers prefer to avoid uncertainty avoidance index. Nestle has low uncertainty avoidance index. Nestle accepts making changes in company. Nestle always predicts incidents or risks such as pandemic that maybe will happen in the future. The management and strategies that are used by Nestle is flexible. Nestle always conducts change management programs to improve the management and quality in their company. Nestle trusts that only non-stop of making changes will lead company to the peak in the market. They will evaluate the company's ability and take certain risks to widen their business. Most of the male in Switzerland prefer in masculinity and agree that they have to achieve their goals and ambitions. They desire to win in every competition that they participated in. Nestle owns low masculinity and high femininity. The workers have to balance their own time in both work and entertainment to ensure they are healthy in mentality and physically. Nestle is not an egoism company. Nestle rewards its own workers based on their performance and abilities. It is equality in sexuality in Nestle company. In Switzerland, people are more to long-term orientation. They believe that Long-term orientation brings the largest benefits to company. Nestle prioritizes long-term orientation while running the company. Nestle focuses on thrift and workers' education. They always conduct training programs to train their workers time to time. Most of the workers will attend programs that are not related to their current position so that they can handle various positions. Nestle runs company by holding mission of obligations and wages. Nestle always donates to its own city, which is Vevey, Switzerland. Nestle also provides social assistance whenever Vevey faces problems. In Switzerland, people are more to indulgence. They will express their feelings to the people without any hesitating. Nestle is more to indulgence in running a company. The culture in Nestle is optimism. All of the workers in Nestle is treated with respect. Workers in Nestle are allowed to share its own opinions and views to company. Workers are also allowed to complain or report to the Human Resource Department if they face any inequalities in company. Nestle hopes its workers have high personal happiness level. Nestle workers are encouraged to work in a harmonious and relaxed environment.
Hi, I'm Cz, and today I'm going to share about the international norm and practice analysis of Nestle, Switzerland. International norm and practice can be said as a very important thing which plays roles in multinational company that will affect the business and operation of the company in the other country directly or indirectly. The first international norm can be seen is language barrier. The formal language in Switzerland is German, French, Italian, and Romance that have no really well known by public. So there will occur the issue which misunderstanding will occur between the communication during company and other country. Thus, there also occur the issue where the labor is hard to find because lack of same language to communicate. The next international norm is culture shock. Culture can be said as the tradition of a society and community. Even though there are same religion in different countries, there are also occur some differences in it. Thus, Nestle company should know and take note about that. As an example, Malaysia, which have Muslim, Mandarin, and Indians, have to take note where Muslim cannot eat pork, and the product that produce have to be halal. The next thing is political issue. The political of a company will affect the business operation of Nestle company. If the company have a not stable political issue, that will cause the government laws and rules will change easily and frequently, where the Nestle company might not follow up and cause some misunderstanding with the countries. Thus, the political stability can be said as one of the most important issues where the company need to know and need to understand before they are expanding the businesses. The economic factor also can be said as one of the most important things that need to be known by Nestle company. That is because the company expanding the business is for earning and profit. The economic issue that occur in the company might affect the profit and the earning from the country, for the country and the company. Thus, the Nestle company need to know the changing rate of the company and the country, such as USD to Malaysian. So, the Nestle company decide whether they want to expand the business to other country or not. Social difference can be said as one of the international norms where the lifestyle are different from one another. As an example, Western like to eat chicken chop and others, while Mandarin mostly like to eat rice. Thus, the company have to know the lifestyle of the country before they expanding the businesses. That can help to fulfill the want and needs of the publics at the country, where it can increase the profit and demand for the country. The next thing is technology issue. When technology is advanced nowadays, however, there are not every country have the same speed that growing up the technology. Therefore, before expanding the business, the company have to take note about the technology advance in the country, where there might be differences in the countries where the equipment cannot be found or the technique cannot be used. Next is environmental issue. Nestle company have also come out with action for protecting the world. They're using the green technology in order to protect the world. Other than that, it also can minimize the damage of Nestle factory to the earth. This action has been practiced at all of the branch all around the world, and it have come out the plan and strategy which followed by the environmental policy. Company ensure that the planning is protecting the world and minimize the damage to the world. The location of the company can be said as one of the international norms. That is because there are many types of seasons in the world. So, there are many differences in the site, and each season have the different way to keep the raw material and the ways to maintain the operation of the business. Thus, the company have to know the ways to keep the raw material as longer as they can, and understand the environment and season where the raw material can be kept and protected. The last one is the competitor. The competitor in the food and beverage industry can be said is a very large amount. Nestle company have to know about the competitor and their strategy in the company. Other than that, they also have to know the strategy, the competitor entering the market of other countries. Thus, Nestle company have to increase their efficiency and try to fulfill the need and wants of the public in the country as much as possible, which they can compete in the market. That's all for the international norm and practice of Nestle company in Switzerland.
For the recommendation part, the expatriate that working in Nestle Switzerland often face language barrier as the national language in Switzerland, which consists of 4 languages which are German, French, Italian, and Romance. In order to integrate well into nation culture of Nestle Switzerland, expatriate language training is important for them to gain benefit for their career when they decide to stay longer in Switzerland. It allows teaching the expatriate the native language and the business language of most countries. With using this training method can enable expatriates speak German, French, Italian, and Romance fluently, although it needs to take months or even years to reach the level. expatriates become more independent and show respect to the nation culture of Switzerland in order to easily join in the Swiss society through expatriate language training. Moreover, interaction training such as interaction between new expatriate and previous expatriate can enable new expatriate have better understanding the best working effectively with Swiss people and so positive feeling to interpret or adapt to the mindset of people in Switzerland, especially in the workplace. Switzerland considered as low-tax culture, which is depend on words themselves. The communication style in Nestlé Switzerland is mainly verbal, direct, and open. The personality of Swiss staff on the business relationship are very carefully. Therefore, talking softly and clearly is the proper way to create credibility in order to do business or communicate with Swiss people, especially the manager or employee. Swiss people are mainly private about their personal life, so personal questions are not commonly asked and also recommend not to interrupt in the middle of a conversation because it's so disrespectful in the culture behavior of Swiss people. Lastly, time considered precious, so their meetings are seldom scheduled at the last minute. In conclusion, Switzerland considered as one of the oldest, richest countries. Nestlé, located in Vevey, Switzerland, is the well-known multinational manufacturer of food and beverage products, and it has expanded its business, become the largest food leading company in the worldwide. Switzerland is also a multilingual country with German, French, Italian, and Romance as national language. Switzerland is widely regarded as the champion of religion tolerance and the promoters of a modern secular society in which religions, respect, freedom, peace, and renaissance are recognized as key values. A blend of German, French, and Italian cuisine can be found in Swiss food. The food are including cheese fondue, rosti, and balanced flour soup. The region in Switzerland in which the Catholicism and Protestantism are the two largest regions in the world. Switzerland is known as a low-ranking country in power distance index, more to individualism, has low uncertainty avoidance index, preferred in masculinity, prioritizes long-term orientation, and more to indulgence in running a company. International norms that faced by Nestlé Switzerland are including language barrier, cultural shock, political economy, social difference, technology, environmental, and competitors. Lastly, Swiss people mostly is provide indirectly, as most of them are low-tax culture, which consider time as precious for both business and social life. Therefore, their meetings and appointments are not being scheduled at the last minute. That's all for my group to present. Thank you.